Americans are pissed off, guys. President Joe Biden, he does not necessarily have the best track record when it comes to promises that he's made to the American people. Pretty sure nobody's really going to come and argue with me on that one. Now, some say that it's not even a matter of hit or miss. It's literally a matter of just miss and miss, which is why many people are just completely skeptical of his new solution to student loan forgiveness. Although the president is pretty sure that this is going to work, but it might take some time. So let me guess, is the approval of his plan going to overlap with the 2024 elections? And I'm just guessing here, folks, right? Now, Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley says that the United States should be very wary of China, as they have been preparing for war with us for decades. Now, here's a good question. Given the state of our country, our finances, our ammunition, and our defenses right now, do you really feel as if the United States is prepared to go to war with a country that has a lot of prep time? I mean, just hit me up in the comments, yes or no. Now, on the topic of China, the White House has decided to send yet another diplomat to mend our very complicated relationship with them. Now, I guess Secretary of State Anthony Blinken couldn't quite get the bridges fixed, but guess who's coming to the rescue? Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. So what an amazing plan, because she's fixed so many of our problems already, right? Strong sarcasm, right? But Elon Musk has just waged a war with American citizens as he's decided to have limitations on the social media platform Twitter. Users may now only see a limited amount of their posts, and when they hit that limit, their app will be done for the day. How do you guys feel about that? Could this literally be the death of Twitter as we know it? I don't know how many people are going to be willing to put up with that. Now, I'm not going to waste any more time, guys. Let's get right into the updates. By the way, for the best way to invest in gold or silver, check out the links in the description down below this video. Now, what many say is an attempt to get more users to pay for that blue check, Elon Musk will be restricting accounts on Twitter. I'm not kidding you guys. Now, what kind of restrictions is he talking about here? Well, if you're a user who doesn't necessarily pay for that monthly subscription, you're only allowed to see 1,000 posts per day. After that, you're going to be locked out until the very next day. But if you want to get your usual fix of Twitter posts, then you can go ahead and shell out $8 a month. Then you can get full access to 10,000 tweets a day. Now, the problem here is that a lot of people use the platform and there's a lot of content on there. So, giving somebody a 1,000 post visibility limit, it's basically, one way of pushing them onto another service that just gives them free access to content without limitations. And think about how advertisers on Twitter might feel about this, right? Now, given that within a day, only a limited amount of users would actually be able to see the ads that they're paying for. So that could be a huge problem for Twitter down the line. How many of you guys would be willing to pay $8 a month to use Twitter? And the other thing is like a lot of people have used Twitter for years. I don't know how long Twitter's been around, 10, 15 years or so. So can you imagine, like, you've always used it for free and then all of a sudden they want you to cough up $8? I don't know. Maybe it's worth it to you. Maybe it's not. Now, the joke that's going around right now is that people should probably just go outside more, but we got to realize that some updates are much, much quicker on Twitter compared to other platforms like Facebook and YouTube. But, I digress on that. But Elon Musk has defended the decision and says that it's being done to basically fight against unauthorized data scraping of potentially valuable data, and that Twitter is basically getting data pillaged so much that it was degrading the service for normal users. So basically, Twitter is going to be charging legitimate users to kind of ward off the illegitimate data scrapers or hackers of the internet. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, I got a question for you guys. Anybody here who gets a ton of updates on Twitter? Like, how do you feel about these new restrictions? I have my own personal thoughts, but I definitely want to hear from you guys. You guys know where I stand on that. Now, since we're already talking about restrictions and things that we can't do, President Biden is basically going to be, going through the back door of his student loan forgiveness plan after the Supreme Court rejected his first plan to have more than $400 billion worth of student loans forgiven. Now, he's going to be using this Higher Education Act of 1965, but he warns that this process is going to take even more time compared to the first plan, and there's still no guarantee it's even going to work anyway. So this new approach, it seemed to already be in the back pocket, as just hours after the Supreme Court handed in their initial decision, President Joe Biden was already with the Education Secretary Miguel Cardona talking about this new foolproof plan. And it also makes you think that they knew that the first one probably wasn't going to get approved. So President Biden basically said that, this is going to allow Secretary Secretary Cardona, who was with him today, to compromise, waive, or even release loans under certain circumstances, and that this new path is allegedly legally sound. Now, it's going to take longer, but in his view, it's the best path that remains to be able to provide for as many borrowers as possible with the debt relief. So, of course, the question now is, how long is this going to take, right? We already know payments are about to start kicking in. Now, experts are saying that, it's going to take months for this thing to go through. And that's another big if. Like a really freaking sizable if. But President Biden did say that this is legally sound. So that means that borrowers should now expect to be forgiven in a few months, right? I mean, this is another new promise from the Biden administration. And all the while, we should expect this to be a major talking point as the president marches on towards 2024. Wow. It's kind of like deja vu when he first announced the student loan forgiveness program right before the midterm elections. So is this another, is this a repeat of the same strategy that worked for the Democrats, but ultimately failed the American people? Now, at the same time, I do feel like if you take loans out, you should pay them back. Unless you plan on filing bankruptcy, I don't necessarily feel like you should have to rely on spreading out the tax burden to responsible taxpayers to end up kind of distributing that bill across everyone else. But I digress. It is what it is. We'll see what happens. But this one might actually pan out this time. But again, it's not like he hasn't missed out on previous promises to the American people, right? We'll see what happens. And some people say that it's not even for the votes this time. He's just really dedicated to forgive these loans. What do you guys think about this? Think about the timing, right? Like, is this really like legitimately he's concerned about getting these loans kind of wiped out, or is he really after the votes? So remember, 2024 elections are right around the corner. Now, something else that he's determined to do is to smooth over the relationship that we have with China. After Secretary of State Antony Blinken's less than successful visit, the Biden administration's now decided to send Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen to Beijing. Now, you gotta wonder why. Like, why are they sending her over there? I mean, it's not like she's got like an amazing track record of doing anything for us, right? My answer to that is yet another question. Why? Like, I have no idea why they're sending Janet Yellen over there. I guess it's because she's an economist. It's also now come out that Yellen won't be meeting with President Xi Jinping, and that talks would most likely be focused on stabilizing the global economy and challenging their support of Russia. Now, I'm not so confident that anything's actually going to get fixed this time around, given that the secretary also has a not so great record when it comes to fixing the economy, if you know what I mean. But what do I know? I just track this stuff on a regular basis. Now, for all I know, she makes everything right with China and the United States within her brief stay there. And then everything is just great. I think it's unlikely, but it's possible. Now, somebody who's not very convinced that things will get better is Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley. She says that China has been preparing to wage war with us for some time now, and it would be foolish for us to think twice about it.
If you look at the military situation, they now have the largest naval fleet in the world. They have 340 ships. We have 293. They're going to have 400 in 2 years. We won't even have 350 in 2 decades. They have started developing hypersonic missiles. We are just now getting started. They are modernizing their military. Our military is taking gender pronoun classes. You look at what they're doing on cyber, artificial intelligence, space. They're ahead of us.
She also adds that China has been preparing for war for decades. And if we want to stand a chance, we need to strengthen our military right now. Like, with all the different problems that we have here at home, do you guys feel as if the government is prepared to face a country like China? Make sure to share your thoughts on this one in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Now, speaking of preparations, now, I know a lot of us are putting in the final touches as to how we're going to be dealing with the economic downturn that is slowly creeping up on us. Now, there are those who are investing in different markets and sectors, be it in precious metals, gold, silver, or even in real estate and in the stock market. Many of us are building up our cash flow in order to have even more money to be able to take advantage of these different opportunities that are coming up, dabbling with side hustles and small businesses to hopefully generate multiple streams of income. Now, if you guys are interested in learning more about these, definitely hit me up in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. The road to financial freedom, it is not easy, but it is definitely worth it. Now, I'm gonna talk to you guys all soon, but before I go, please do a boy a favor, drop a quick like for the video. Also, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and I'm gonna catch you on the next one.